Friends, this is the Ordinary People podcast. Today we are speaking to JP from somewhere in South Africa, and he is quite concerned about the state of our economy and the state of the fact that businesses struggle to survive out there. He thinks he has a solution, and he's here to discuss it with us. JP, hello, welcome to the show.
Hey, Roman. Nice to meet you, and thank you very much.
The pleasure's all mine. Just off the top, you haven't paid me to be on the show. We're not going to sell anything to anyone because your service is actually free for most people that might be watching. So, first of all, let's talk about the challenge that you have found that prompted you to build what you have built. What are the severe issues for businesses in South Africa that people are maybe not really understanding?
Yeah, the challenges I found came through years of research, and life experience. I was blind to the system as we know it, and if you go and look, in Wikipedia, it'll tell you it's a trade system, right? So we live under a trade system that I didn't really understand until I was 50 years old, and I was lucky enough to been working internationally in the system. I've consulted some of the largest farmers, for instance, doing balanced scorecard and strategy consulting. And you see how, 90% of businesses really were like me. These large organizations, they were like me, just employed and, taking the day to day and doing their jobs really well and believing that they are doing good. But when you get to the top level, the discussion and the nuances are there. And I never picked up on it during my travels. But when I started my own business, coming back from Finland in 2006, we came back to South Africa after 9 years in Finland. And, that whole social experience, it's frightening. It's absolutely insane. I had more rights in Finland than my wife had, as a foreigner. It never really, none of that landed for me until I understood the system. And, it's all coming together. You have had really great discussions with farmers and the guy with the tax was brilliant. I need to know people like this and especially Sean, where you guys went to a level, but I think hopefully we can take it deeper today.
Yeah, certainly so. So you have all this business experience. You went to Finland. I'm sorry to hear. This doesn't sound like a very nice place. It's cold and miserable. And everyone's in a sauna all day.
It was an incredible time. My wife is Finnish, so we married in '97. Went there because I couldn't find work in Cape Town. I was too young and too experienced, to be honest, because I grew up in an entrepreneurial house. Two businesses, my dad and my mom, successful businesses. They sold them. We moved to Georgia. I met my wife, and in '97 I went to Finland for 9 years, and I did a degree for free, and started working and earning and paying the high taxes, and really bought into the system. But at the end of the day, when I reflect on it now, I can see what it really does. Although it did help me, and I did pay it back. Most don't. It's not
So
not not yeah.
what made you come back to South Africa? Because I assume most people watching here will be of the opinion that, well, I mean, Finland's a first world country. It's generally homogenous. It's generally prosperous as well. Why are you coming back to the southern tip of Africa after
I can
experiencing all that?
I can honestly thank my wife for that every day. I loved it in Finland. Don't get me wrong. I did not want to come back at all. Not for a second. I had a great work. I had great friends, great network, much better than I've ever, actioned, let's put it that way, in South Africa. So my wife never really integrated back. She left Finland when she was around 18, and it was a hard time for her, the 9 years that we were there. And she's the one that said, we're moving back, and so I registered the registered the business, the first business here in South Africa, and a couple of years later, well, I first outsourced to my company over there for 2 years. Then I started my own business when I was 35. Yeah.
So, what are you busy with these days? Like, what are you trying to solve here for the South African context?
So what we did, and all of this experience kind of came together in when I hit 50, and every I think everybody, when they see, there's a lot of people who are starting to understand the system now, and when they see it, they feel helpless and kind of defeated. And you go through this blue pill, red pill, black pill, white pill. It's like Nick Hudson says. Love Nick. He's absolutely brilliant. And so I think I got to that point where I couldn't figure it out. I didn't know. Lots of black balls, and then I just got calm and thought, okay, well, it's all about community, and it's all about my neighbor. It's all about my house. It's all about my family. That's it. And I need to apply what I know, and what I know is data, and what I know is the real core to the problem we're facing, which is data. It's all about data and the control of data. And we do AI, so I really have a very good understanding of the tool, of AI, and it can be used as any other tool, for good and bad. So what I did was I tried to figure out, okay, how can we solve the problem, and what is the problem? And the problem is, it's not community. We're separated. We've been separated, and during COVID, and I can talk a lot about COVID and what COVID did for small, medium-sized enterprises like my two entities in at that time, and I just saw what they were doing, and I figured out a solution that I think will work as a new way of enabling local economies. We figured it out, my team and I. So we set off, we registered a non-profit, and we built a platform and a service that enables micro enterprises, entrepreneurs, knowledge people to market their wares. So first we do the marketing piece, next we'll do the sales automation piece, then we'll do the community piece, where we enable communities, and have them automatically register as non-profits, so that when there's investment in communities, it's spent into the right programs and projects within those communities. And then from there, we take it to the what I call movements for improvements. So once you can get a community to collaborate, really get off the global platforms, stop shouting into the abyss. If you can get people to, rather than doing this, we used to meet at the corner before COVID, people that cared about communities. We don't do that anymore. So I think that's there. It's just not activated, and we're looking to activate that.
So does your platform that you built, or that went live very recently, your platform basically automates a lot of the compliance that people struggle with?
Yes.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Well, it's not the compliance. So whether you have a business or not, as an individual, you can trade. Yeah, you can invoice, right? So you need to register a business when you start getting serious, and then you have the whole tax and VAT and the regulations to face when you do that. And that's how they, that's the beginning and end of most small businesses. So we will get there. We've been trying to get access to CIPC's API for 4 or 5 months now, so that we can verify businesses that are actually registered properly, and we can communicate, around those businesses. So the regulations we don't do yet. We're trying to do that. But what we do is we bring you intelligence around your business. I've been doing this with my 2 other businesses for a year and a half now, and what our service can do is incredible to inform you about your industry and your business, first of all, to make you knowledgeable about things and how to position. These things are hugely complex. Even running my businesses for what is it now, 16, 17 years, I never understood the complexities of marketing. It's hugely complex, and no wonder you need a massive team. And that's what we've made easy now for people.
So I've always been very good at marketing and very bad at actually selling stuff.
Exactly. Well,
so I can market myself. I can get eyeballs, but I've got nothing to sell ever. so yeah. We struggle with different things.
You are the product. Yeah, I mean, you're here. You're doing this. That's incredible what you're doing. Bringing normal people to your show.
No, thanks, JP. But I mean, don't do this for the money, my friend. People stop me and they say, "How do I get big on YouTube?" I say, "I don't know. I haven't done it." Because which is a different ecosystem, right? If you're in Europe or Australia or America and you have 50,000 subscribers, I mean, people will come knocking $10,000 deal brands, whatever you want. Here, nothing, like zero. Morning Shot, who Byron runs, I mean, that guy gets millions of views a month, 3, 4, 5 million views. Not a single email to say, "Cool, we love it. Let's sponsor. Let's do stuff." Zero.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
And you know what it is? It's the model is wrong. So our plan around that, if you take it to the data level, okay, is that it works like we work, but the money doesn't flow to us, right? So meaning that the platforms, your audience, everything is built on cumulative knowledge. It's how we discuss and how we learn from each other, right? But the platforms don't work like that. They don't monetize like that, and that's the problem. So what we will do will enable that you can share your knowledge publicly, you can have it subscribed to, and you can earn revenue, recurring revenue from people that subscribe, people, and you can share your knowledge base, right? So they can enrich your knowledge base with their own content. So that way we're growing knowledge upon knowledge all the time, and meaning that the people, the audience, the followers, they will actually get better results at the end of the day. You'll become much better at what you do, and they will fund you for it. You will earn properly from the system.
I understand. So how are you actually trying to get people onto this platform? Well, what's the plan there?
That's a brilliant question. I mean, we've built a marketing capability, so we're using the marketing capability to market both the non-profit, which is GroWorth, and the service, which is Linkedio. So we only launched now 10 October, and our marketing campaigns and everything are starting to get consistency now. So we're seeing growth. Yeah, very early to market.
Good. No, good. It's important to have some growth. Tell me a little bit about. Okay, so I understand the platform. I understand you're trying to make things easier for entrepreneurs and businesses and things like that. But in the back of your mind, is there a sense that sort of the economy that we know, is just rigged completely, right? So you got like 20 big companies. They all give out like freebies to like their BE pals. They all use the same marketing agency. There's it's so concentrated at the top that you can't undermine them through the existing economic system, because they'll buy you up or they will make pass regulations that prevent you from doing anything. So is this an attempt, and this is just my view, you can freely disagree with me, but is this an attempt to say, let's just build maybe like an alternative economy for real people?
That is exactly what we're trying to do. So the problem with the system is it cycles down. If you put the system in a triangle, upside down, right, this way, then the top, these are the people we know. These are the, people on our screens that have big power. And then you have, all kinds of organizations and think tanks and, these, what Nick would refer to as globalist organizations, I guess. So you have your UN and your, your banking side, the Bank of International Settlements and that whole structure. And then you have the central banks and that whole structure. And you have the, IMF and World Bank and everything. So they are absolutely, I look at politicians as actors. They're great. They put the personality on of whoever pays them to act. The script is scripted. The handlers are there. It's the same everywhere. We don't own. Politicians are management. Okay, the
Cool.
politicians are management. The system is the executive, and it all flows back up with interest up the side
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
right.
So I actually saw it firsthand. So, okay, people think politicians are smart. They're not. Just trust me on this, please. Everyone, just trust me on this. Politicians are not smart in the slightest. I have very personal experience with this. Take from that what you wish. But when we entered office, right, I was there on the very first day. I worked for free for 3 weeks before they actually appointed me. I received emails and letters and phone calls from about 5 organizations, but constant badgering. We would, well done on becoming the minister. We really need to meet. We really need to meet. We really need to meet. And by the end of the day, like 3 weeks in, I was like, okay, geez, we'll meet. Just relax. I said, we're just coming in. We've got no staff members. Like, just relax. So at the end of the day, we actually just met them. We had one whole day and everyone came. And it's the biggest, most organized, most well-funded organizations from the farming industry, from the UN, from the World Economic Forum, from whatever you want. Like they come in immediately, and you can see that they try to steer the conversation to what is beneficial in return for bullshit, right? So the UN came, and we had a member from the UN in our office, right? And like, we'll give $10 million to fight whatever, foot and mouth disease or some bullshit, right? Like $10 million is like 120, like that's not much money. Like, you're not going to solve anything with it. Like, it's much better just to have the private sector make vaccines, which was my argument. No, this guy had his office. $10 million were paid to somewhere, somehow. I'm not too sure. And I don't think anything has actually happened to sort of solve vaccinations for animals in agriculture. But no one else was there. Then we had smaller farming institutions and smaller farming bodies coming. We give them the time of day. Well, we gave them the time of day, but there was no sort of action after the fact. Whereas these other guys, I think they must have permanent staff members who are just in every single minister's office at any given time just to, I don't know, grease the wheels in some way. But you can see it from a mile away. I mean, I had my
Absolutely.
reservation.
There's a clear line between monetary and fiscal policy. Unfortunately, there's like, the influence, the power, everything is there, and it's as you said. So they do it with grants and they do it with philanthropy. They buy out our sectors and replace our local, companies with global companies, or we have to buy from Monsanto or whatever. So it's the way they do it everywhere. They ruin the middle class wherever they go, and they have the funding to do it. And they funded by us. That's the worst. It's the worst thing. So we're building our own digital game here, right? To them, it's a game. We're building our own digital lock over here, where we're funding it. And you go down in this decision framework to a point where you really get off your ass and look at the partners of the World Economic Forum, and you realize that you cannot survive a day in your house without them. But you have local choices, you have markets, you have people making real things in your community that you don't even know about. So we're trying to bring that to the front, real things, real relationships
Yeah.
and real economic trade from the bottom up, from a SME level and a micro enterprise level. So, the SME level needs the micro enterprise level the same as the large businesses need the SMEs. Large businesses have become, in my mind, some large businesses have become pure, marginal players. They don't have any real delivery capability. They have management capability, they have program,
Yeah.
etc. But they don't have real capability, and that's why we're losing our industries, because they're the only ones that can actually have the power to create industry. The SME level, it's going to be slow. So you need that funding to the SME level. And now what they're doing is they're automating it, with AI. So now, and this is what I saw coming. I'm in the AI game. I realized that a lot of people will be put out of business, out of their current business. But, when people don't have pain, they don't learn. Okay. So you
Just
have to
repeat the
be,
last line.
when people don't have pain, they don't learn. Okay,
Sure.
we learn through pain. Think about our history. We're just coming to the sense that the whole migration thing you're talking about is what our ancestors did, right? So they were the migrants then, right? They replaced. They did exactly what the migrants are doing now, and they paid to do it. They funded to do it, and so are these. So it's all. We're still in Rome, and we're way before Rome. Here we're still on the same system. It's trade routes. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's protection of trade routes, protection of trade at any expense. Yeah.
Correct. And all the other stuff, like I think you mentioned it before, like democracy and voting, it's all bullshit, right? It's all sort of
It's
who
yeah,
is allowed to trade under what auspices,
yeah.
right? And for example,
When
now in England, under the Labour government, it is the most extractive Labour government in many years. They're raising taxes on the middle class left and right. The rich get away with it. They don't need the NHS. They can go to Dubai or whatever the case might be. And in essence, what you're finding is that the people that cannot really go anywhere, like the middle class, they have entrenched interest in their business. They're plumbers, or they have 3 employees, or whatever the case might be. They are just being sort of squeezed at the highest margin. But the big corporates, they just like move to Ireland or move to Dubai or to Canary Islands or wherever they want to, because they can. So you have this weird scenario where democracies are squeezing the most productive people, i.e., the middle class, and allowing the elites and the very poor to sort of coast along. That's happening right here, right now in our country as well.
Excuse me. Yeah. Hey, there's a reason that 720 odd currencies have gone to nothing, right? That failed. There's a reason, and it's very simple. That's what you're talking about. It's a failing fiat currency, and it's failing on purpose. It's like the market crash in 29. It's like the bubble in 2000. It's the bubble in 2008. IT bubble, then housing bubble. It's all created, yeah, and we always fund it out. So when they did the bailouts first in 2008, that's the first time they used public money to bail out private businesses, and that is where the whole system went wrong. Yeah, first they did it with, of course, the tax, when they brought the taxes, and then let's call it 1913, and then 71 when they took the dollar off the gold and make it an IOU, right? So it became a massive gambling house where that's the market. It's like and market sentiment, yes, but when the sentiment is controlled by the private equity investors, we don't, SMEs don't matter, normal people don't matter. It's when it's private equity. You're dealing with, you should have that picture in your mind of American Psycho when you think about these people. because truly that's how I think of them, the people that control the world, and I've dealt with them. And they are nothing like 97% of the planet. It's crazy. It's crazy how the message changes from executive to management to the people that work in organizations that think they're doing well. Large.
Yeah, I really do think that the loss of what's called sound money, like it's backed up by gold. I think that was one of the greatest treacherous tragedies of the 20th century by far, because the price of things actually mean nothing now. I actually spoke to a Muslim guy last week on the show about this, and he's like, "No, but Sharia law can fix this." I'm skeptical of that, but he had the same idea as you. It's like it's all fake. All the money in your account, all the currencies, it's all basically fake. It's not real money, and he is completely correct in that regard. But I don't know what we can do to replace it at scale en masse without real violence, because all the countries in the world have the backing of the most powerful countries in the world. So how the hell are you going to take them on?
You have to start. That's I went through this thought process. You have to start at community level. If you can fortify communities, you can beat the system. Fact.
All right. And how are you doing that? Or your product? How's that doing it?
You need to enable people in communities. Yeah. If you think about what's happening in large business, they employ 40% of the world, right? So you have SMEs that employ 60% that don't have tech. Majority of them, they can't afford tech. Okay. Micro enterprises. Let's talk not SMEs. Let's talk about micro, under 10 million or 10 million rand or $500,000. Okay, let's talk about those guys, the students coming out of university. Let's think about them, and how do we enable them? That's what we're building.
Right.
A system where they can run successfully a business. The compliance is taken care of, and they can focus on selling, trading, and any type of trade, digital trade, cash, barter, etc. We will enable all of
it. Is this basically building a platform for the black market? And I use the term interchangeably with the literal black market in terms of black people in the markets in townships, right? The black economy in townships is massive. It's 800 billion rand.
Absolutely.
And
millions unemployed. White, black, for me, it doesn't matter. Yeah, no, we're all in the same problem here. We're all living in the same system, right? And we all have our past that we need to reconcile and understand. When I woke up and I saw the person the system created, like the person I was versus the person I thought I would be growing up, night and day.
Yeah.
So everybody needs to understand that they've been manipulated into this point, and they need to help themselves out of it. Help themselves. I can't help you. I can't help anybody. I cannot help a single soul. But when they make a decision to help themselves, I'm providing an avenue to do so.
Correct. So the reason why I use the term black market is because there is this thing called the township economy. Excuse me. G.G. Alcock wrote a great book called Economies, which is like the economics of townships and rural areas. And I mean, you got people making money hand over fist, like you can't believe, but it's all under the table. Sometimes not taxed. It's not within registered companies. It's cash. It's loans. It's whatever the case might be. Like it really is the wild west of capitalism and the wild west of real capitalism, right? When I speak about capitalism, I mean about the fact that it can allow you to achieve the aspirations that you want. It's not this like crony, top-heavy capitalism where all the savings are privatized and the losses are subsidized by the state. That's not capitalism at all. That's like crony state capitalism, which I'm not in favor of. But I think those people in the black market and the black economy with 800 billion rand, they can have a system that sort of automates a lot of the compliance. Maybe not tax though. We don't want them to pay tax. But if they can have a system that helps them make more money, then obviously we should that system is worthy of support, I would think.
Yeah, and that is what we build. So the next phase with the sales enabling will connect to an online accounting system, bring your accounting data in, consolidate that with your budgets down to your spend and more operational solutions that we'll build. We're integrating to trade systems, so your macros and your local, really rural level trade systems for entrepreneurs that use them, like not take a lot, but they are two very local rural trade systems that we will integrate to. We're busy with the take a lot now. Yeah, so we're looking to create an enabler for micro enterprises that will absolutely protect them from a compliance point of view, because I do understand the compliance.
Yeah.
We do.
So what is the long term goal here? Is it as I described, like an alternative economy to the fraudulent one we're currently living in?
That's where we started. It's to take our data off their platforms.
Right.
That's the big problem. Our data is not ours. You take the data of Google, Azure, the big stacks, AWS, you start controlling it, you use that data to improve your life and your community, and the world changes. Really, data is hugely, hugely powerful. Yeah. And so is AI. Yeah. If you
what is the one thing about data that people what is the one thing about data so I know that you work within the data field, or that you have companies within the data field. What is the one thing about data that people just don't understand? Like, why is it so important?
It can upend anything at any time when it's used in the wrong way. Yeah, if it's in the hands of somebody that has anything, against you or your community or your business, it can ruin you in seconds in today's world.
Yeah, in what way though? Can you give like?
But at the same time,
specific?
it can be used in exactly the opposite way, right? That's the mirror. That's the mirror. So the data behind the scene, when you control that data and that data is aimed at improving your life, the whole model changes, because that's all they do. They use the data against us. They have been doing this for a very long time. They plan hundreds of years ahead. They have tech that we don't even know about. We think you got to look at our tech is released over a long period of time, and what it does or what it was used for in history. And now you need to look at AI and what AI is. A tool. It's like a gun, right? You're going to choose your gun. You're going to choose your bullets, but it's what you do with it.
Sure.
We both like guns, okay? And you're responsible. And when you understand how to use it, you use it responsibly, right? Because you have a lot of problems with it. You need to use it for good instead of bad. It's a tool.
Yeah.
And when our segment, the entrepreneurs and the micro enterprises, are scared of this tool, or they don't have access to this tool, or they don't have access to small business technology, integrated CRMs, etc., they lose momentum. They cannot grow. Yeah, it's a funding problem. So that's an interesting discussion actually that you had with, I think it was Sean. And you guys were talking about the money, right? The 6.5 billion going back to these countries where the foreigners are coming from. And yes, that's absolutely true. And this is a way that we can prevent that and keep it within our own system.
So isn't there a fear that you're building this now with this intention, right? A good intention. Isn't there a fear that your platform becomes corrupted after you die, or
No,
by
no,
subsequent
not at all. No,
managers
it's
or something like that?
no, 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 no. So the apps. I hear what you're saying. The current board will be replaced within a couple of years. The trustees will be replaced by however we grow in the communities that we grow, by representatives. That can, like Nick Hudson and these people that will actually want to get involved once we can prove the viability. So we absolutely, I want to run the ops. I'm an ops guy. I don't care about, I understand strategy, but I have no time for that stuff. I don't want to run the strategy part. That needs to be independent, and the system will hand over to the community management structure, the whole system. So the board will probably end up with like a 10% vote altogether on large investment stuff, and the community will vote for the 90%. So the community will vote for the businesses, the community will vote for the programs and projects that the community runs, the investment that the community makes through the donations, the business support, the sponsors, the organizations, the NGOs, etc. So it should enable for that. It's nowhere there. That's phase 3.
Sure.
But the
Yeah,
plan is there.
but do you trust communities though? I mean, I don't. I mean, I'm
Absolutely.
not a Democrat in any sense whatsoever, and I can fully
Mm.
understand why people want supreme power to make decisions and for
I
those
don't believe
decisions
in
to get
democracy at
followed.
all. Yeah.
Because, well, I mean, you do in a way if you give the community 90% power in terms of the voting structures, right?
Yeah.
Like, look at
Giving,
land reform, right? Land reform
mm,
is basically we'll take land that's profitable and productive, we'll give it to a trust run by the
yeah.
community, and then it just fucks out as always, right? Just give it to like a person in the community to run it and let him hire people and then have KPIs. It's but much easier than having like a trust and the community decides. The community can't decide shit most of the time. Excuse my
Mhm.
language.
Well,
So
I'm
what
happy. You know, I'm happy to prove you wrong. I'll be happy to prove you wrong. I understand your cynicism, or skepticism. You and Sean were touching on that. It's you gotta think individual, living, in communism. So I like Nick Hudson, right? He's like communism at home, capitalism outside the house. Okay, so if you take it to that and you give people options, that communities live and thrive. It's when they influence and enlarge from external that the mess starts, and that's exactly what's happening with us, through our government. So
so
I
I'm gonna
trust
push.
I trust my
Yeah,
neighbors. I have a great relationship with them. I'm in the patrol. There's 75 people that patrol our community. Our community is 80% safer as the second you go outside our little border over here, and it's working. We're active, and we have people that believe that we need to preserve our communities, and that's what we're doing. Those people,
absolutely.
those are the ones that
Do,
will
but
participate
do
and
you have a leader who is coordinating all of this, or is it just people like agreeing?
Oh, every community will have a leader. Okay, so you think about somebody that's voted in, somebody that takes action, starts it. Okay, you always have a group. We have a group of 75 that I can rely on. People that give their time to the community. So I'm sitting on my right. Okay, stop. Okay, so they give their time to community, right? We have a lot of
Mhm.
people that are unemployed currently, just sitting at home, swiping. Those people will give their time when they see value at the end of it. They will.
Yeah,
They will
I don't think
participate.
they will.
I believe
I
it.
don't think they will. I'm skeptical because it all boils down to sort of liberalism at the end of the day. And this is what I'm saying. What I mean is, I think if you keep people bred in circuses, they will love the bread and circuses. There's no intuition to become better. That's why there's so many people that are obese, right? Gym is free. Just go for a walk. It's free. People still don't do it. If
Yeah.
someone goes there and shambocks them if they don't walk, they will bloody well walk, right? Every single day and lose the weight. The best way to lose weight is to be fat
Are
shamed
those people
every
the
day.
majority? Are those the majority of people that you meet? Let's be honest. Because for me, it's not. Absolutely not. It's
No,
like a
I like
fraction
people.
of.
I like people, but I don't think we live in a society or a culture that accepts responsibility. And that
Yeah.
responsibility has to be inculcated in some way, hopefully peacefully. But I'm starting to think that maybe we need some coercion somewhere
Well,
to get shit.
you're thinking that the indoctrination worked, right? You're thinking that we're am I right? I mean, the indoctrination through school, through university, getting into a business, being productive, da 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 da. That's what we need to fight. Totally agree with you. So we need to, our youth is lacking the sense of responsibility. So we need to bring it back, but it starts at home. If you read a book that really woke me up to how this nudging and influence works on a family, then you really start to understand your house and yourself. It was called the Americas of Fear, if I recall correctly. Um,
Mhm.
it was incredible, and it was an eye opener. For me, I'm very direct, and I really like data. I don't normally have discussions like this with people, for sure. This is a rarity. So when you read that, you look at your kids, you look at my children are out of the house. One is a pastor, and the other one is a genius at data. And I look at them and their families, and I see it. I see it. Once your eyes are open, you can't close it. And I believe in that. I believe that the more people that wake up, the more successful we will be.
I agree. I agree in principle, but to get them to wake up might need a kick in the pants more than this is a better way to go. Like I think the incentives matter. But I have the
It's
same.
an attention thing. We live in a world sincere lack of attention. So if you can grab their
Sure.
attention and thus their time, you can shift it into action, which is what we need on a community level, and everybody on their
Yeah,
own time. Yeah.
I can understand that. So I have the same question that I had to Dean Haystack, who maybe Dean was here talking about having sort of local products at local stores and trying to get those value chains up. And I think maybe I was a bit too dismissive to him. I did invite him back to join me in the future, and hopefully he accepts that. But I have the same critique, if I may. Your
Hmm.
platform is probably fantastic. I think it'll help a lot of people without solving the big issues. And I'm not saying we should solve them, but without solving like the real handbrakes on the economy, are we just tinkering at the margins? Are we just trying to solve small problems because the big ones are just beyond our reach?
Yeah, you're way too far ahead for me. We're doing. I'm thinking, what can I do?
Sure.
Okay. Now you think, what can you do? And everybody else think what they can do, and then we see where we end up. We're not there yet. We're in the beginning stages. Yes, we're late to the game. Absolutely. This has been, but we're hundreds of years, thousands of years late to the game. So why not just start now, start small, have some wins, build on those wins, see what works. Where we don't have all the answers, not in a long shot. We need people like you. We need people like Nick. We need people that advise us, taking this thing potentially global. So we don't even exist yet, Roman. It's only a start, and that's why we're now getting the message out that there's a different model uh, that could work. We're not looking to do it alone. Absolutely not. We're looking to get open source developers involved in building these solutions out, and that will actually get us, to go from micro enterprises to small, medium size to large, and that's where it should stop. Yeah, that's where it should stop. So we don't get these conglomerates that can plan and control futures. Yeah.
No, I agree. I agree. I think action is much more important than inaction, and often we don't realize where we're going to end up. I mean, when I started Morning Shot, however many years ago, I had no idea that it would become as big as it did by any means. But led me to have a job in government. Like like that.
Yeah.
These things just happen without you thinking. I never have a plan in life. I just follow what my gut says, and I think you are correct. I think the big things are the big things. What can we control right now, presently, and we should actually try to mold what we can control right now, rather than focusing on the biggest problems that maybe we can't actually solve at the moment. So why worry about them?
We'll look for all of those guys that failed at government to come and join. Absolutely, absolutely, because you didn't sign the agreement, you didn't get to the level, right, where you're an insider and know what the agenda is and how the system works. So we'll work with anybody like you to get actively involved in our mission. You're the guy we need. It's like you've proven my point. If you go back and look at your questions around whether people will act, you acted. Yeah, you ran into the system. You were never meant for the system. You would never succeed in it. If you understand it correctly, you could never change it, no matter how much you tried. It's impossible. Yeah, not you can start in your local community and do a whole lot better.
Yes. No, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Well, I just went into the system just to do my job, to be honest, to help South
yeah,
African agriculture. I mean, how hard can it be? Apparently, very
yeah.
difficult.
No, it's super important, and the fact that you got into agriculture with your history is incredible. We've met. We have a focus on agriculture as well. It's super important. It's absolutely, we want to support the farmers. We want to expand the thing that we built. That will enable biosecurity, acquisition of meat, etc. And we want to bring farmers to markets directly. We want to close the malls. We want to start the butcher and the grocery store and those up again, enable micro enterprises for a little bit less convenience.
Yeah. All right, John. I think I enjoyed myself. Have we spoke about everything that you wanted to discuss, or have I
Yeah,
missed something that you want to end with?
yeah, no. I think it was a good discussion. I'll have to go back and see what I said, but yeah, it's going to be fun.
Great. So please send
Yeah,
me all the details for what you are building. I'll put it down in the show notes down below so people can go look at it for themselves. And I want to thank you for joining me today.
thank you, Roman. Appreciate your time.
Oh, the pleasure is absolutely all mine. And for those watching, thank you so much for watching live. Otherwise, if you didn't catch it live, of course, you can watch it on YouTube and it will be on Spotify as well. Have a good rest of the afternoon. I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, right here on Undercurrents. Bye bye.